Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest webinar series on BIM implementation. This is our third series. So if you have not seen any of the previous ones on BIM management and BIM best practices, please check them out. They are full of really good information on how to manage BIM. In this series, we take a step back, introducing BIM in your company. It does answer how to increase the amount of BIM you are already doing without pain, if possible.
That's right. We'll be talking today about how you get the basics right. The presentation will be split into three different sections. The first will be JB and myself. We'll quickly touch on the common mistakes that are made when getting started on a change management project. Then we'll talk in more detail about the challenges that are faced. And finally, we'll finish off by giving you some tips on how to avoid these issues and get started on your BIM journey. There's quite a lot to cover, so let's get started.
So JB, you were telling us last week about your BIM implementation project. How's that coming along?
Well, we got a multidisciplined team together to discuss how we will tackle our upcoming project.
Well, that's great. How did it go?
It could have gone better. We forgot to invite the contractor. So when they did finally get involved, we had to make some changes to the design.
Oh dear, I bet that didn't go down well. How did that happen?
Now, I think we were in a rush and we did not really take the time to identify all the stakeholders. And it's quite annoying, you know, because by the time we got their input, we had already done a significant portion of the work. So redoing it was tedious and time-consuming.
I bet that was hard on morale.
Definitely. There was a noticeable drop in motivation from our team.
Totally understandable. At least you trained them on the new processes you were putting in place, right?
Well, we had plans for that, but we are just so busy, we cannot have people off work at the moment.
It's been really difficult for your team to change the way they work without any training.
Well, you know what? They have coped really well, but there has been quite a bit of resistance. If things do not start turning around soon, we might just give up on this whole BIM thing. The way we used to do things worked for us.
It's going to take a little bit of persistence, sure, but definitely worth it in effort in terms of efficiency when it's all up and running. You must have realized all of this when you did your impact analysis, though, right?
Impact analysis? What's that?
So once again, this is an exaggerated case, but many of these errors are quite common. So it's no surprise that 60% of BIM implementation attempts fail. It's really important to have all the basics in place before you start.
And since the first step is often the biggest hurdle to overcome, let's go over the challenges in a bit more detail.
Okay, well, a robust BIM implementation process should have a mechanism to guide and support stakeholders to successfully adopt a new way of working and thinking. The first one we're going to talk about is education.
There are two types of education that relate to BIM implementation. First is the initial BIM training. This will cover anything from how to use new software to understanding the new processes. And secondly, BIM will likely require some changes to your culture. So your team will need some guidance on the new way of working and thinking. So for example, if you are introducing a new form of electronic communication to adhere to ISO 19650 standards, you will not only need to provide training on the new software, but also on the appropriate best practices.
Another thing you want to think about is integration and systemization. How do you plan on integrating BIM standards into your current processes? It's important to establish policies and procedures to measure process involvement and to make use of BIM products that can automate your systems, making them transparent and seamless.
Collaboration is one of the pillars of BIM. You would want to make sure that you can quickly and easily transfer data among automated systems. All of the stakeholders need to have access to a central repository of data to make sure that everyone can work from the same data. A great way of enabling collaboration is by having automated and standardized processes for all stakeholders on any given project.
And then we go on to innovation. Technology in construction is evolving at a faster pace than ever, and it can be very difficult to keep up with the latest developments. BIM has the potential to improve output, quality, and substantial reduction in cost and time of constructed facilities. But you need to make sure the technology you're using is right for your needs. With a plethora of software available, all claiming to be able to do everything is daunting and can be time-consuming to sift through everything that's available on the market.
COVID has changed the way people work and the way people want to work. Home working is now the new normal, and remotely managing multidisciplinary teams can be a big challenge. There are, of course, many tools available to help with this, and the wide availability of the internet has made that even more possible. Even mobile internet has become reliable enough to enable on-site offices to be just as productive as head office.
Productivity is only improving by about 1% on average in the construction industry. This is down to digitalization not being widely adopted. Profitability margins are historically quite thin, and an industry is slow at adopting new ways of working. BIM has the potential to improve this with a high return on initial investment required to implement it.
The final challenge organizations are facing is their culture. Changing mindsets is difficult, but will lead to higher levels of engagement from your team. You will need to have a fluid organization to achieve the requirements necessary to embracing change. Not doing so risks falling behind the competition.
So now we've covered the mistakes and challenges, let's move on to the final section, the juicy bit where we tell you how to manage BIM change requirements like a pro.
You'll need to be agile. You may have heard that before, but what does it mean for a company to be agile? It's actually a pretty simple concept that describes a way of working which lends itself really well to BIM. Let's dive a little bit deeper into what an agile organization looks like before giving you some tips on how to make your own organization agile.
Okay, so we'll start with an agile company will have 5 distinctive characteristics: a network of people, people-centered culture, an operation that allows rapid learning, a fast decision cycles enabled by technology, and finally, a common purpose that co-creates value for all the stakeholders. With those characteristics in mind, we can ask ourselves how we go about creating an agile organization. Truly agile organizations are both stable and dynamic. A smartphone is a good example. The Physical Device Act as a stable platform for various dynamic applications, providing each user with a unique and useful tool.
That's right. Agile organizations mobilize quickly, are skillful, empowered to act, and make it easy to act. In short, they respond like a living structure. They have flexible resources that can adopt change quickly. They focus on action. Leadership shows the way and remove barriers, and teams are accountable.
A McKinsey quarterly survey report of 2,500 business leaders shows that only a few companies have achieved organization-wide agility, but many have already started pursuing it in performance units. The remaining performance units in companies lack dynamism, stability, or even both. On average, respondents believe 68% of their employees should be working in agile ways, compared with 44% of employees who currently do. So this is obviously not a simple task. Let's just see how to implement the 5 characteristics into your organization.
First off, you'll need to rethink your strategy. You should make sure that the organization shares the purpose and vision, senses and seizes the opportunities, has a flexible way to allocate resources, provide all stakeholders with actionable strategic guidance.
Next up, you'll want to take a look at the structure of the organization. Make sure that it is flat and clear, has a powerful set of common best practices, and an active network for partnerships and ecosystems. Can act both in a physical or virtual environment, can hold all teams accountable.
As with all things, BIM processes are key to success. To get an agile organization, you will want to design your processes in such a way that you can encourage rapid decision and learning cycles that lead to continuous revision of your decisions and continuous learning. Allow for information reuse, experimentations, and make your information transparent. Standardize the way of working, facilitate action-oriented decision-making.
So then on to people and the type of mindset you should be promoting. This is one of the most challenging changes, since it involves changing behaviors. But with poorer communication of your goals, you can ignite passion, which in turn encourages a cohesive community, allows leaders to share information and be at the service of all stakeholders, allows stakeholders to embrace an entrepreneurial attitude, and allows role mobility.
Finally, you need to take a look at your technology. Does the technology architecture, the systems and tools you use need updating? Like we've mentioned, this field is developing incredibly fast. And it could be that newer tools would allow you to enhance your practices' performance and output.
BIM agile organizations constantly reimagine both whom they create value for and how they do so. They're intensely client-focused and seek to meet diverse needs across the entire project lifecycle. Further, they're committed to creating value with and for a wide range of stakeholders, clients and investors, employees and partners, and communities.
To give coherence and focus to their distributed value creation models, agile organizations set a shared purpose and vision. We call it the North Star. For the organization that helps people feel personally and emotionally invested, this North Star serves as a reference when clients choose where to buy, employees decide where to work, and partners decide where to engage.
An agile organization comprises a dense network of empowered teams that operate with high standards of alignment, accountability, expertise, transparency, and collaboration. The company must also have a stable ecosystem in place to ensure that these teams are able to operate effectively. The practice should reinvent itself continuously through experimentation and adaptation.
Agile firms work in rapid cycles of thinking and doing that are closely aligned to their process of creativity and accomplishment. Whether it deploys this as design thinking, lean operations, agile development, or other forms, this integration and continual rapid iteration of thinking, doing, and learning forms the organization's ability to innovate and operate in an agile way.
An agile organizational culture puts people at the center, which engages and empowers everyone. In organizations, they can then create value quickly, collaboratively, and effectively.
Companies that have done this well have invested in leadership, which empowers and develops its people, a strong community, which supports and grows the culture, and the underlying people processes, which fosters the entrepreneurship and skill building needed for agility to occur. Talent development in an agile model is about building new capabilities through varied experiences. Agile organizations allow and expect role mobility where employees move regularly, both horizontally and vertically, between roles and teams based on their personal development goals, a skills matrix, an efficient training system, and a solid performance information on available roles, tasks, and/or projects, as well as people's interests, capabilities, and development goals.
BIM radical change of the organizational model requires a rethinking of the technologies underlying the enabling collaboration, visualization, and processes, as well as the technology best practices needed to support speed and flexibility. In order to design, build, implement, and support these new technologies, Agile BIM organizations integrate a range of next-generation technology development and delivery practices into the design, construction, handover, and in-use processes. Multidisciplinary cross-functional teams of business, design, construction, maintenance, and technology employees are accountable for developing, testing, deploying, and maintaining new processes. They use virtual collaboration spaces to understand the client's needs and develop possible solutions quickly. Extensive use of automated testing and deployment enables lean, seamless, and continuous templates development to be reused in future projects.
The BIM environment is pressing firms to become more agile. In response, a new organizational form is emerging. It shows the 5 characteristics discussed above. They enable all project stakeholders to balance stability and dynamism and open unprecedented opportunities for future type of projects, increasing your revenue.
The next question is how to get there. In a rapidly changing commercial and social environment, some practices are born agile, some achieve agility, and some begin with agility burden.
VTR, or a vision to reality, is a staged business process that is at the core of Driving Vision's unique consulting methodology and is a robust process that facilitates the correct action. The process needs to be adapted to fit the needs of your organization, thereby creating a viable project plan for delivery.
In conclusion, an appropriate environment for your BIM implementation will help you to create appropriate opportunities for change, implement them successfully, and balance change activities with people's usual activities. Therefore, you need to work on creating an environment that provides security, which conveys the message that new ways of working may be difficult at first, and it is understood that productivity would decrease until all the necessary knowledge is acquired. Energy encourage people to be part and take ownership of change. To do this, a positive, enjoyable, motivating environment must be created. High energy will generate valuable circles of work that will help increase creativity, collaboration, and resilience when difficult times come, which they surely will. Motivation, foster intrinsic motivators, purpose, autonomy, and people's natural talents to create an environment conducive to change. The combination of these factors will help earn people's genuine participation, reduce the anxiety of fear that change can generate, and, in contrast, increase confidence and motivation.
As a thank you to everyone who attended today, we would like to offer a free, I said free, BIM readiness diagnostic, normally charged at £1,250. In this diagnostic, we evaluate your BIM capabilities, if your culture is compatible with the BIM philosophy and the investment required to make you BIM level 3 ready. Your BIM readiness report will tell you your capabilities gap, the changes required to align your culture with the BIM philosophy, and which technology you could use to automate your processes, actions to close the gaps, and how much money you need to invest to get the BIM that is right for you. The Driving Vision expert will conduct the interviews online, will issue a report, and discuss our findings with you together through a VTR session. We will decide the best way to implement the solutions at your pace and according to your budget.
Okay, then just before we go, just want to let you know about our next episode happening on the 14th of July at 13:30. You're already signed up if you attended today, but go ahead and put it in your diaries. And please tell your colleagues and friends about the session, and we'd welcome you all there. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you all for attending. Bye.